could you tell me a little bit about yourself, who you are, and the artwork you make?
Yes. My name is Jayden. My online handle is sullizin. I'm an illustrator and a comic artist. I'm currently going to Massachusetts College of Art and Design as an illustration major. I consider my art a lot of different things, but the major aspects I like to include in a lot of my art is a lot of variety of color and a lot of symbolism. Yeah, it was really from as young as I can remember, honestly. Around the age of 8 or 10, I had a childhood friend who kind of taught me the basics of, you make the circle with the cross in the middle and a rectangle for the body. And at that point, I kind of just let the creativity flow and I got really, really attached to art in general. So I got specifically attached to art and drawing mainly because I love the idea of being able to take an idea and turning it into a visual format of somehow of in some way, some shape or form. I love the idea of being able to help other people with creating an idea and turning it into something real, something manageable, something viewable. That is exactly why I'm going into illustration specifically. I think that is a really special experience being able to help people turn their idea into something that is truly consumable. I consider a lot of my artwork personal. It really depends on what I'm working on in particular, but especially my most personal projects I've found to be the strongest and the most impactful. I also take a lot of inspiration from the music that I listen to in general. So, a lot of the times my favorite songs or my favorite albums will end up showing up in my artwork in one way or another. Or if I'm looking for inspiration, then I will also listen to some music for some time to be able to build up that inspiration before I start getting into working. So in that way, I think a lot of my artwork can be very personal, if not just about my personal experience, but also my passion about music. So I do consider myself queer. I am transgender and on both the aromantic and asexual spectrums. Um, Being transgender has kind of developed for me recently. I used to be far more on the masculine side of the spectrum, but I recently have found that I've fallen more into the middle of the spectrum. In that development, it was sort of a switch that I made where I didn't necessarily feel the need to like pass as often. And that was mainly because I had sat down one day and I made this really, really helpful list that was I wrote down all of the things that I want and that I don't like in relation to completely as if gender did not exist. So instead of saying I like feminine clothing, it's I like dresses, or instead of saying I like masculine clothing, I like ties and button-ups. Like, completely writing it down in terms of the idea that gender did not exist was really, really helpful for me. And I really appreciate making that list because I think it helped develop the idea of me being myself as opposed to me fitting into a box of what society has deemed a trans person is supposed to do. And for aromanticism and asexuality, it was kind of a different journey altogether. I know a lot of people who their gender very strongly relates to their sexuality. For me, it wasn't so much that case. To put it blankly, as for the asexual part, I just don't have the fun feeling, if you will. For the aromantic side of things, it was mainly something that, it's still something that I'm exploring, my relationship with love and my relationship with the idea of being someone's special one, you know? Just really liked, I really appreciated making those discoveries about myself because it really did click for me, and it helped me develop an opportunity to meet people that I relate to and meet people where, like, oh, you experience sexuality different, me too. Oh, you experience love different, me too. Let's talk about it. That has been really, really helpful. I think it's mainly, I may have jumped ahead a little bit, it's mainly just the connection of, you know, with the asexuality, I just don't feel the fun feeling. With aromanticism, it's I experience love differently, I experience relationships a little bit differently. I may not have the same view as other people. And with transness, it's I don't fit into a binary. There's a lot of things in society that are deemed as, you know, gender norms, and many of which I don't follow, many of which I don't agree with, and I just appreciate being me instead. I think my trans and Aroace identity interacts with my art a lot in terms of I very often used art when I was younger to be able to better understand what I was going through. When I was about 16 or so, I'm 19 going on 20 now, I would make what are called zines, which are like mini magazines, based off of songs that I really connected to, and they were comics. And I would make these comics about myself to better understand what I was going through. I remember I had 3 really strong ones in particular that I focused on. One of them was a zine based off of the song Feeling Like a Woman Lately by Noso, and that was my first one that I had really explored my gender identity. I made another one about my asexuality called, it was based on the song Not Allowed by TV Girl. If you've ever listened to that song, you'll realize that it's very heavily, like, sexuality focused. And then I ended up making another one that I didn't fully finish, but it was based off of an unreleased and now deleted song by @Sarabella on TikTok, and it really connected with me in particular. The song itself is actually, to my understanding, about growing up and leaving your past self behind, but the lyric that really stuck out to me in that song was, I'm not who I used to be, who was she good for me, set her free and let me breathe. And I made a comic based off of that song to better understand my relationship with my childhood growing up as an AFAB person and who I am now and what that means to me now. So I think putting my thoughts into a visual really, really helped me in being able to better understand what I was going through and let me put thoughts down, or let me put ideas down to very, very confusing and very, very jumbled thoughts. And I think that was super duper helpful. And I think that also kind of sparked my main reason for loving art, this idea of being able to take an idea and putting into a visual is something that's consumable, and that's why I'm going into illustration. I think being able to really use that kind of an art to understand your own emotions is really powerful, and it's exactly what encouraged me to go into the field that I'm going into today. My artwork definitely evolved alongside my queerness. in looking back in my oldest sketchbooks, I noticed that when I was really going through the gist of my identity seeking, I would draw myself a lot. I would draw myself all the time, and I think any gender nonconforming youth could relate to that, or gender nonconforming artist could. And the biggest thing that I noticed in looking through my oldest sketchbooks up to my most recent sketchbooks is that the way that I drew myself used to be a lot more of this fantastical idea of who I thought I wanted to be and who I wish that I would be. It was more of like a character, if you will. And now today, whenever I draw myself, it is very, very realistic to what I look like now and who I am now. And I think that's really poetic because it's, in a sense, a sort of acceptance of myself, and the ways that I draw myself are truly reflecting how I actually feel about myself, and it's a confidence in that manner. So I would definitely say that my art has developed over time alongside my queerness. Yeah. I do intend to be more outwards with my queerness. I think as of recently, I have become more outwards about it, especially because my understanding of myself has developed over time. I used to be a lot more shy about letting people know of my queerness. I used to hesitate to introduce myself or to introduce the fact that I was trans, because it can be pretty hard to say to someone and have the confidence to say to someone, "Hi, I'm trans, I'm a boy, please see me as one." That can be really difficult, especially when you don't really know how the audience is going to perceive you, and a lot of your intention is based off of how the audience is going to perceive you. So I think over time, when I really came to terms with the fact of who I am as my own individual identity, and the individual things that are important to me, are not important to me, aspects of my identity that are just truly who I am, as opposed to truly fitting into what the general idea of what a trans person should be like. I've gotten far more confident just introducing myself as a trans person because I feel more comfortable in that trans identity. And in saying that, I am definitely not saying that people shouldn't feel comfortable introducing themselves as, "Hey, I'm trans, I was born a girl and I'm a boy," or vice versa. Like, you should feel the confidence to be able to say that. I think trans youth and trans adults they deserve the confidence to be able to introduce themselves like that, with the other person respecting you unconditionally. But in my personal journey, it was really helpful for me to revalue what the idea of being a trans man or a transmasc individual means to me. So now I feel a lot more comfortable at, talking about my queerness with people. Instead of it being, "Hey, I'm trans, I was born a girl, but now I'm a boy," it's more, "Hey, I'm trans, I'm just myself, please respect that." And I think that's a really powerful shift. It was really helpful for me. It helped build my confidence a lot. Yeah, in terms of Aroace, it's definitely one of those things I am still exploring, but I think it's been really helpful being open with people about it, especially because I have friends who have like gone through similar experiences and have come to me saying, "What was it like for you? How did you come to terms with that? How did you discover that? How did you educate yourself on that?" And I think it's one of those topics that it really, similar to transness, it really is very dependent on being able to find a community that you can really talk to and you can really relate to, and being able to say, "Hey, I'm going through this. Did you go through something similar, or am I just overthinking this?" It can be really, really helpful because it really helps you feel less alone. That, sure, you experience things differently than a cisgender straight person would, but that's okay, because there's a billion other people on this planet that do. Not a billion, I shouldn't say that, but a lot of other people on this planet that do. And it can be really, really comforting to be able to be open with other people about that aspect, because it's still one of those things that I feel like a lot of people are coming around to. They're beginning to understand, and being able to be open with my friends and family about that is really special, because sometimes they feel a connection themselves and they realize, wow, I kind of relate to that, actually. Yeah. Yeah. I'm hoping that my artwork develops over time as I become more experienced, due to the fact that I am hoping to build a personal connection with my art again. In art school, your first year is something called foundation year for most places that you go to art school for, and your foundation year is essentially the year where you're forced to take a lot of these really unique classes so that you can learn the basics of the art form. And while it's unbelievably helpful, like, there's a reason why most schools do it, because it is unbelievably helpful to be able to have that foundation year and build the traditional skills. It doesn't give you a lot of time to, like, really connect personally with your craft, because it doesn't allow you to work on the conceptual skill since you're so busy working on the technical skill. So I definitely did not have a lot of time last year to be able to really connect personally with my art, and I feel that that is a strong suit in being able to make art that I'm proud of, and being able to make art that I'm really passionate about, is being able to connect personally with what I'm creating. I feel the more personal that it is, the more passion is in it, the more dedication is in it, and those are the artworks that I tend to be the most proud of illustration-wise. So I'm hoping that now that I'm going into my sophomore year, I'm finally stepping into my actual degree, as opposed to the foundation year that everyone was required to take, that I'm going to be able to really tune into my specific craft and the passionate things that I feel, and connect emotionally with my artwork more, as opposed to just getting the assignment done. Yeah. I would just always encourage people to really don't push your emotions away. If you're experiencing something that you're confused by, whether that's exploring an aspect of your identity, or exploring a new hobby, or going through something that is just really overwhelming to you, being able to have an outlook, or being able to have an outlet that you can really embrace what you're feeling, whether that's a community, a hobby, music, reading a book, doing something that you love, being able to express it in some way is incredibly helpful, and I cannot recommend it enough. It's just, I would really encourage anyone in any stage of their life going through anything in terms of queerness, in terms of experiencing the life forms of whatever happens in life, to be able to truly embrace, or do your best to truly embrace, the emotions that you're feeling.